And how are you, man?
I'm doing well. Welcome to the show. Jeff Leach, award-winning actor, voiceover. You already know who he is with the voiceover work, but we got a stand-up comedian here as well, writer. He really does it all. Welcome to the show. Sports Hip Hop with DJ Mad Max, Live 365, iHeartRadio. How's everything going, man?
Good, thank you. Yeah, not too bad. Just sitting in my Las Vegas hotel room. My dog is desperately trying to get me to go outside and play rather than sitting here. But yeah, having a good time, man.
That's
Probably
great.
the first time I've been in Vegas where it's not 700 degrees Celsius. So this is a joy for me, you know?
Yeah, you're on the tour right now. So how about we touch on some of the topics that you're going to be covering in this tour right now? Kind of a little bit of a preview because I know this is going to be going on throughout the upcoming days.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I'm doing a residency here in Vegas, and I'll be back again in July and again in August. So it's kind of an ongoing thing here. And then obviously got the TV show coming out on June 4th as well. Sorry, wait, June 6th tomorrow. So that's pretty exciting. So yeah, just kind of combination of those two things, entertaining the troops out here in Vegas, making sure the drunks and the waifs and strays alike are kept in fits of laughter. I've been preparing for the big releases over this month.
That's right. You got a lot on the way. Predator, killer of killers. So, what does it mean for you to be a part of this project, knowing that it comes from such a historic background with the first one? We know that's a piece of iconic film history. So, were you a fan of that growing up, the first film?
Oh, absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, the classics, Sly Stallone grunting and growling in a jungle is every straight man's dream, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure. I don't know. Very homoerotic, those original movies. A lot of muscles, a lot of sweat. This one's got a little bit less of that. It's got a lot more action, a lot more story of the actual Predator character themselves. So that's the exciting thing about this film. Since director Dan Trachtenberg took over the franchise with the last movie, Predator Prey, that was wildly successful last year. It seems he really wanted to dive into the lore, the prequel lore of who the Predator character is, how they became these unbelievable space traveling hunters, and how many times they've actually engaged with human existence prior to what we know as the earliest Predator story, which is the one with Sylvester Stallone, obviously.
Oh, Schwarzenegger. That's what it
Oh,
was.
Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
Sorry, my bad. My bad.
No, it happens. You know why?
I'm getting my Rambos and my Predators mixed
Yeah,
up. It is.
you know why? And it's funny that you mentioned Stallone because those two were basically battling in the 70s and 80s because they were the top star.
100%.
And it's like every movie that they came out with, it was like the opposite, where I think Sylvester Stallone did Cobra, then Schwarzenegger did Commando,
Right.
Terminator. It was all over the place. Rambo, it was always one right after the other in competition.
And now they're just battling for how many illegitimate children they can have. So
Yeah.
still an ongoing challenge between the two of those gents. But yeah, no, it's very exciting to be part of the franchise, but also very exciting to be part of this particular movie because it's animated, which has never been done in the Predator space like that, not as a feature film before. So the artwork is gorgeous. I don't know if you've ever seen the show Arcane on Netflix, wildly successful TV series. It's very similar art style to that as well. So if you love that, then you're going to love this. And like I say again, the story spanning all these different time zones. My particular character, Ivar, he's a Viking warrior. So he's definitely set in that time period. But there's three other time periods for you to explore as well. I won't ruin it too much for the viewers. I want them to enjoy it when it releases tomorrow. But yeah, keep your eyes peeled for Ivar.
I'm looking forward to this. Now, is there potentially something that could be in development to where we could get this into a video game? I know you're a big video game guy. We already know your history, Modern Warfare, Call of Duty, all that. So you think we
Oh
could probably
yeah.
get this into a video game, perhaps?
Oh, I mean, you know what? I have got no idea whether that's the plan or not, but I would love to see that happen. And if it does, if they bring the Predator franchise like that into the video game space and maybe develop a little AAA, I would absolutely love to provide the voices of either, the Predator itself. I'm good at animal sounds, just ask my girlfriend, but I'm also pretty good at the grunts and gravel of Arnold Schwarzenegger as well. I could do either or. I mean, I could do the whole movie. That'd be great. Could be a remake of the original film. Get down to the chopper. You
Yeah.
know, I'm there. I'm ready.
Yeah, you're a big stand-up comedian. It's always been a passion of yours, and what really branched you out and coming to the States because acting's
Correct.
something that you always wanted to do. So why don't we get into the early backstory here? Because early on, just going to the university, doing university work. So you were getting into DJing and radio early on, kind of similar to what I was doing. So how did this radio and DJing come about?
Yeah, so I started DJing when I went to New Zealand for a year when I was 18, and I fell madly in love with a beautiful Maori girl who was a DJ out there, DJ Amy B. And after that, the rest was history. You know, she taught me how to use decks, how to spin vinyl properly, and that was the start of that passion. And I ended up DJing at major festivals all across Europe, some out in the US as well, redoing remixes for Ministry of Sound and Island Records, and then realized that that lifestyle wasn't that healthy. I mean, I had my heart stop at a music festival about 10 years ago and decided that maybe that was the time to give up the hedonistic lifestyle of a DJ. I don't know how you still do it, man. You must be clean living. You've obviously found the Zen place of enlightenment within the DJing space where you're not on death's door. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case for me. So I quit that. And the radio came out of college, really. I was the college, like the head of the radio station there, started doing commercial radio, and that really cemented my entry into the entertainment industry, actually. So I got a lot to be thankful for in the world of DJing, the world of radio as well. It's a wonderful media, and I'm glad it still exists, you know.
It definitely is. And I'm happy that things went well after the tent incident because there was a producer. Who was this producer that you met at the festival? Because that was the one that would lead you to getting the screen tests.
Correct. Yeah. Lovely lady who was backstage. I was running around in a Mexican wrestling outfit and a lycra leotard. Just as you do at a music festival, you know, I think I've already established that, you know, there was quite a lot of questionable substances in my system at the time. And as I was backstage at the main stage, I made this lady laugh so much. She was like, "You're hilarious. You should be a TV host." So I said, "All right, great. Give me a screen test." And she was true to her word. 2 weeks later, she gave me a screen test. That led to me getting my first job on the BBC. And then my life changed. You know, I gave up all the hedonistic lifestyle, the narcotics, and the DJing, and started being a children's presenter originally. So quite a 180, you know. But it was fun. I was like managing a different type of discombobulated child. You know, this time they were just, instead of being in a music tent at 4 in the morning on illicit substances, now they were just teenagers running on testosterone and you know, their blossoming identity crisis. So it was quite a shift, but a lot of fun, really a lot of fun. And like that's been the story of my career thus far. I've never just stuck with one thing. I've developed all these different skills, whether it be in the world of music or hosting or stand up or voice acting, or acting being my main passion. And I love that. I might be a little bit older when you get to know me because of that, but I'm going to be a more happy Renaissance man for the rest of my creative career, I hope.
I'm sure you will, and it's going to be great to see it really unfold here. Now, is it true that you played the part of a cross-dressing role early on, and that's kind of what got you really
You'd
into
be looking at
this?
my Wikipedia. God knows how that got on there. Yeah, for some reason it mentions my first ever school play. And my first ever role in a major school performance was as Madame Diphtheria Iceberg, the created ice queen of the story. And I put on a pair of tights and a beautiful dress. And I've never looked back, man. I mean, you know, it's quite frequently, you know, in the lonely summer or winter months, I'll find myself standing in front of the mirror with a cute dress on and a pair of tights, just admiring the legs, because I am 6'4" and they do cover most of my body. And you know, it's a beautiful visage. It's something to drink in, and to you know, constantly question your own identity. You know, because right now I'm a straight man wearing clothes, but you never know down the line. Opportunities are there, Max. That's what I'm saying. If you like what you see, stay tuned. I might end up in a tie and a dress again.
You never know. You never know. And I was able to check out your comedy special that you did for the stand-up back in New York a few years ago. I tuned into that and definitely was interesting to hear about this Trump supporter who was thinking you were one of them because he was like, you're part of us in that stand-up.
Yeah, I mean, I had this guy come to the this was in Texas. I did a show in Texas a few years ago when Trump was originally president, his first presidency, and it's my job, I think, as a comedian to mock all the presidents and everyone in a position of power who, in my opinion, don't give a solitary toss about the general population out there. So I was making a few jokes about Trump after the show. A cowboy comes up to me. I knew he was a cowboy because he had the hat and the shoes, and you know, he was riding a horse. And he walked up to me and said, he said, "Man, you know, I loved your set, dude. You're a very funny guy, but all those jokes about Trump, you know, it kind of upset me a little bit. You know, you're from England, you got terrorists over there. You don't want to build a wall around England to keep them out." I was like, "Listen, man, it's surrounded by water. It's a terrible waste of building materials and time." And also I had to point out the fact that I am an immigrant in his country, so I stand with the Mexicans on this one.
Yeah.
It didn't go down too well with him, but the Hispanic community loved me for it, which is great.
Unbelievable. It's insane. So you're able to work your way out into the States because you wanted to get more into acting. Why would they screen you for auditions out there for acting work? Was it kind of because you were typecast, you were so known for being on TV that it would be hard to cross over into the acting lane? Was that the reason why they didn't give you some auditions?
Yeah, the UK is just a very small country. Sorry, it's my dog shaking her head in the
Oh,
background.
that's okay.
The UK is my home, but it's I've never really felt that comfortable there. Neither the weather, the miserable people, the terrible foods, the bad teeth, nor the glass ceiling that exists over entertainment. Like if you're one thing, because we're a tiny little island, everyone gets one job. Do you know what I mean? You can't be a multifaceted performer. That's too much. You're overstepping the mark of British politeness and stiff upper lip. So you have to just be one thing. Either you're an actor, or you're a TV host, or you're a DJ, or you're a radio host, or a TV presenter, or a stand-up. You have to be one of those things. You can't be all of them, which is why I left. Because, America, they want you to be multifaceted. If you've got the goods to be able to excel in a number of different areas, this is the place to do it. So, God bless America.
Absolutely. And you got some time out there. What was it, 4 years in New York? You got to be there for 4 years.
Yeah, so the comedy club, the Comedy Cellar in New York City, which is like Studio 54 of stand up now. It's where all the best comedians perform and run their new material. You get Dave Chappelle down there on a Tuesday night running his new hour, or Dave Attell, classic legends like that performing every night in the downstairs venue. They sponsored my visa. They brought me out 10 years ago. I spent the first 4.5 years just really enjoying that New York scene, performing with all my comedy legends and greats, and realizing that half of them are rampant, misogynists and alcoholics and awful human beings. And then I left and came to LA where the sunshine is. And I haven't looked back from that since. But I have deep gratitude for the Comedy Cellar because, they brought me out here. They helped me come to the States. And without them, who knows, I wouldn't be taking hard working Americans jobs. And I'm just grateful for being given that opportunity to be the red coat that I am and, come back for one last bash after the Civil War.
You've earned it. And two, with being a presenter as well, for being an interviewer, you got to sit down with some greats like Lady Gaga, Hugh
Yeah.
Jackman. Yeah, that's
Ah, all the best ones, all the nicest smelling celebrities, and that's the test really for me. It's not how polite they are or how nice their crew is. It's how long their odor lingers in my nostrils after an interview like that. I don't know if you can't do that through the medium of radio, but it's nice to be in the same room as someone and really drink in their scent, Max. Right?
I've done it before. Trust me, I've been able
Yeah.
to, but
Who
yeah,
is, the, who is the most famous person you've interviewed? Did you give him a little sniff?
oh man, I've done so many. I mean, I can't even remember. It would have to be, oh, I can't think off the top of my head.
Gaga smelled like roses. She was gorgeous. She was lovely.
And she extended your
Yeah.
interview.
She did, yeah, yeah. Wow, man, you've really done your research, dude. I appreciate you. Like,
Oh,
looking
thank you.
twisted and weird little life. It's so sweet of you. I did get an extended interview. We were meant to have 15 minutes with her entire team. I feel like with big celebrities, it's never the celebrity who's an ass. It's normally their entourage. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of people there who are not doing very much. So they have to act very dramatic and, oh, this is falling apart. I need to deal with it to sort of warrant the vast amounts of money these idiots are paying them. Do you know what I mean? To be around them. But it's basically a team of yes men. So her crew were very rude. I was halfway through asking a question. We'd done our 15 minutes interview. It was the last question I was going to ask. And they cut me off halfway through and said, actually, sorry, Gaga has to wrap it now. We've got another one starting. And she had very much enjoyed, just like yourself, a good interviewer who actually does their research and learns a bit about their subject. It means a lot to the person you're interviewing. So she had appreciated my questions and she cut them off. She was like, no, he can ask as many questions as he's like. So we sat there for another half an hour. It was beautiful. And I gave her a little metal rose at the end. I thought it was going to be the love story. That was it. Me and Gaga were going to, fly back to America together and live happily ever after. It didn't happen. But if you're out there, Gaga, I'm still waiting. Maybe I can get her now. I don't know. I've heard that Italian accent she did for that movie. And, she's on a down right now. So maybe she came in. You know what I mean? I don't want to knock her work. I mean, very talented lady, lovely girl. But, that Italian accent. Oof.
Oh
Oof.
boy. And she's in Joker too.
Is she?
Yeah.
I won't be seeing that. I know it's already out. I'm not seeing that trash. I mean, come on. When the Rotten Tomatoes score is lower than my age, I know it's probably one that I don't need to check out. You know,
No, the first one was overrated. Heath Ledger will always be the best Joker to me.
I really enjoyed the first Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix. I thought it was brilliant. Oh, yeah, there you go. Sorry, my dog's yawning now. She's
Oh,
bored of me. She's bored of me talking. She always is. That's what she listens to. Um, Yeah, I thought the first one was great, man. I just the second one, it was an interesting journey. It's almost like they built the entire thing around Gaga being an immensely talented singer, you know. But I don't know about you, bro. Every time I watch a TV series and they decide to do the musical episode, like Stranger Things did it. Every TV episode, they seem to put one musical episode in.
Buffy did it back in the day too.
Oh, what is it about? Is this like it's like this hangover from the Glee era? I think like everyone's like we got to have a musical number in one season. Anyway, after that happened, I tuned out. I was like, all right, if they're building the entire movie around a musical episode, basically, I'm out. So I'm glad I didn't watch it.
For sure. You're a big hip hop guy too. Tyler, the Creator's one of the top guys for you. So who was that big person you were able to interview while you were presenter? I know you've done Kelly Rowland, she's more R&B, but how about for a hip hop act? Who was that top hip hop
You
artist
know
you were able
what?
to?
The best hip hop meeting I've had, and it was an interview actually. I did it for Twitch. I used to host for Twitch on their big TwitchCon events and stuff. And I got to interview Ice-T. That was beautiful because I mean,
Oh,
like, he's an OG. He was like part of the origin of some of the most incredible hip hop and rap music that I love today. So that was wonderful. But there's other artists I would love to interview even more. Like I would love to interview Tyler the Creator. I would love to spend some time with Post Malone. He seems like a cool dude. I'd love to chat with Corday. I think he's one of the most exciting
he's
new
great.
artists out there right now. And then there's legends. If I could go back in time, I'd love to sit down with Mobb Deep. Who would expect a little fancy British boy like me and Mobb Deep to sit down and share a cup of tea and a fat blunt together? That I think that could be beautiful television waiting to happen. I'm not even sure how many of the members are still alive in this day
Oh,
and age.
just Havoc. Prodigy passed away, so you'd get to sit down with
Oh,
Havoc.
yeah,
Yeah.
just public now, yeah. But I mean, yeah, classic hip hop, the Roots, Far Side. These are the things that
Oh,
I'm
Black
really
Thought.
heavily into. Yeah, yeah, Dilla, J. Cole. I do love great lyricists, and but I also like people who carve their own niche in that market and in that world as well. Little Dicky was mocked at the beginning of his career for good reason. His entire name, as he points out in his songs, is a phallus joke. But I think he proved on that Sway session where he went in twice. Actually, he's
He
proved
did.
it. And was so prepared. Even the XL when he was on there with Anderson Paak and who was the other rapper he was on there with? Designer, right?
Oh,
Uh,
Panda.
yeah, oh, Penno. Yeah, exactly. Designer. So those guys were on there together, and um, it just showed from the beginning of his career how much more seriously he took the craft of hip hop than some more established, bigger hip hop artists. And I think that's beautiful. It's great seeing him, have his career success as well. But the white boy rappers only make up a very small percentage of the people that I like.
How about Eminem? He's got to be in there.
Yeah, listen, M is a legend.
He
M is
is.
a legend and one of the greatest rappers of all time, for sure. Absolutely. He's
Oh, and you
earned
had that Eminem
flowers.
joke in your comedy stand up too with the urination joke.
Oh yeah, I mean, like, yeah, I mean, I make a joke about my aging bladder, mostly due to ketamine abuse, and probably a few other abuses as well. But I I talk about the fact that when I pee, when young men pee, it's like Eminem rapping, it just comes out in a constant stream of stop, and it stops of its own accord. Whereas for me, it's more like a scat jazz singer now. When I go to the toilet, comes out and fits and starts. I never know when it's going to end or finish. I have to shake that bad boy for 15 minutes just to be certain I can put it away safely without ending up with a stain on my pants. And that's unfortunately the aging process that we all go through. But yeah, Eminem raps like a I guess I've given him the worst compliment that exists in the comedy market, which is Eminem's rapping is like a good, strong, current stream of piss, which I don't know if he'd like that. Don't tell.
I know you probably got to have some because I haven't really spoken about it because it's just I know it's a huge topic right now, but you probably been preparing some stuff for your stand up with the Diddy situation going on with the
Mm,
trial, especially. I don't know if you've seen this
what a
whole
slippery boy. I
yeah.
wonder if he's got enough baby oil to get himself out of those court cases. It'll be interesting, right? To see if he can slip and slide his way out of those. What a story, man. I mean, he's really a monster, isn't it? And it's all coming out. Here's the deal though. If you were invited to one of those white parties back in the day, you would
I'd
have been
go.
there, right?
I'd
DJ
go.
Mad Max. If you got an invitation, even with all the rumors that were flowing around about Diddy being a little questionable, right? Unless you got hard evidence of something, if a major celebrity like that's inviting you to the party, you're going to the party. So when
Mhm.
people were like ousting all these people, like they were at a white party, so what? Everyone would be at a white party. You go somewhere and the champagne and baddies in thongs everywhere, right? Why are you not going to be attending that? Now, listen, if Diddy had taken my hands, if Diddy's slippery hand had held my hand and said, listen, come upstairs, I want to show you the rest of the mansion, I would have not gone to that part, right? I wouldn't have attended that portion of the show, of the party, but I would have been there for the free champs and the baddies. Yeah, absolutely. So, everyone who's jumping on the end of this, I love watching 50 Cent's ongoing commentary. It seems like 50 Cent, who was, an undeniably gangster rapper back in the day, a man that you didn't want to necessarily mess with because even bullets couldn't take him down. And now he's become like a sassy auntie on the internet. I love it, just poking shades, dropping the tea on a daily basis. I'm just waiting to see him as a guest judge on RuPaul's Drag Race. It's going to happen eventually.
Oh, probably.
Yeah, man, he's so funny. I love it. He's so sassy now. Who knew
He is.
then would become the tea meister in his old age? So good
Yeah,
for him, man. He's got there's a little bit of his brandy in that tea, I'm sure as well. He's still
oh,
keeping it OG.
for sure. Yeah, we
Yeah,
we know that.
he's throwing a little sass before he sachets away. That's how it goes.
Yes. Oh man. So, but speaking of baddies, baddies was the early on experience because that's how you were making connections out in America through MySpace. Is New York, LA.
Oh yeah, but through MySpace? I don't know about MySpace. I don't know where you got that bit from. Your research has faltered on that bit. I mean, I was
Yeah.
on MySpace. That was the first platform that I had any success on. We all had our emo days. It wasn't quite Dane Cook's success, of course, off the back of MySpace. But yeah, I did all right on there back in the day. But I guess, yeah, I fell in love with a bunch of women online. I had a habit of doing that from about the age of 16 and 17. I would like have these online girlfriends and then come out and visit them in Canada or America and spend time with them. It was pretty dangerous. I'm fortunate that I didn't end up getting off the plane and meeting a 43-year-old, single bachelor who lives in his basement, wants to wear my skin as a pretty dress. I'm pretty lucky that didn't happen to me when I was a young man because I flew out here a few times. Fortunately, it was always a lady at the other end of the airplane flight, but never a creep with a weapon in his bag. So I got away with it. But yeah, I probably was groomed by a number of old men on the internet. I'm pretty certain when I was a teenager. Who wasn't? That was the joy of growing up, right? You remember being a kid in your hometown once upon a time. The guys that now we would be locking up, and rightfully so, for hanging around with kids and being dodgy, like Diddy. Back in the day, they just called them characters. Like, oh, don't hang out with him. He's a bit of a character. Oh, stay away from that house on the street. That guy's a character. And we all knew what character meant when we were 15, right? Back in
Hmm.
the 90s, character meant, yeah, he's going to take you inside and ask to see something. Well, try and show you his puppies in the back of the van. But now, these people are strung up, which is probably a better place for it to be.
I wonder if they're going to be calling you back to do some presentation with BBC and speaking about sex education since Lily Phillips and Bonnie Blue are really making the strides out here everywhere.
Blowing up over there, aren't they? They're just getting through it like absolute troopers. Is Bonnie Blue the one who had a string of 100 men over the course of a day, or 1,000
A
men?
thousand men. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, who's got the time and or the general girth and space to accommodate that? What an amazing achievement that will leave her. I mean, that when people like win a record, like a Guinness Book of Records, that
Mhm.
they say to them, listen, this will always be the most important thing. You will never forget this experience. I imagine there's some Guinness Book of World Record holders who do forget the experience or are outdone. Bonnie Blue is going to be wearing that experience on her personal body for the entirety of her life. And every time she queefs, she'll think of her record. So I think that's beautiful, and I wish her the greatest success in her ongoing endeavors. Who knows? Maybe it could be 10,000. They say 10,000 hours makes you a master of anything. Does 10,000 men's penises make you a master of the sex industry? Who knows? She'll be
Hmm.
the first to find out.
Yeah, she will be. I don't know how long she'll be around, but we.
I mean, the sex worker industry are very careful, dude. They get tested way more than we do. In fact,
Oh,
they date
oh
a
well, that's
number
the
of
thing.
women.
They're not getting tested. They're not even wearing protection. The Lily Phillips and Bonnie Blue and all, they're not even wearing protect, which is insane.
Sure, but also, listen, I've dated a few women in the sex work industry, a couple of porn actresses and a few cam girls, and these women get tested very frequently to a degree that the average Joe doesn't. On top of that, they would have tested all these guys before, she's allowing them. Look, you're a hip hop DJ. I don't know if you've ever heard of Tim Westwood in the UK.
Oh yeah, I've heard stories.
Tim Westwood back in the day, this white boy from a little village who became the most prominent hip hop DJ and soundscape maker in the UK, which was wild. But he had a famous saying, which is, wrap it up before you slap it up. And as long as they're doing that, I'm sure she'll be okay.
Mhm. It's insane. It really is a takeover out here. So you're getting these auditions from your agent. Once you get to LA, you're getting better auditions, and it leads you to the Call of Duty space. And we
Mm.
all know what happened there. Ghost. Everyone knows you for Ghost. So when we look at the memes, because the memes went crazy on the internet, was there a favorite meme that you could look to that you remembered of your character? You're one of three ghosts, by the way.
Yeah, that's correct. I'm one of three ghost actors. And for me, the memes surrounding my guy was mostly this sudden surge in fanfic novels. So basically like sexual novels about my character, and also another character called Soap. And I don't know. I mean, I didn't expect to become a gay video game icon overnight, but it happened, and there's people making great money by impersonating my voice. I think my dog's about to go toilet inside. She's busting. She's busting here. I have to leave her to it. Um, yeah, I feel like I've become this like weird. I feel like sullied by the dirty stories that exist about me, but they're not completely about me, so it's all right. They don't say Jeff Leach, but the things that people want to see Ghost and Soap do together are would probably be frowned on by the military in all honesty. And that's the meme that's going to live with me. The little strange look over meme for the new Ghost. I mean, yeah, the little sassy side eye. No one hates that. But yeah, I was a little bit more blown away by how many people just wanted to see Soap drop the soap in the showers at the Task Force 141 and have Ghost help him pick it up. It's quite a lot. Each to their own. I'm not going to yuck anyone's yum. You do you, babe. You do you.
Donkey Kong was a huge influence early on for you with the Nintendo space. So, is there any opportunities to where maybe you could do something in the Nintendo universe?
Oh, wouldn't that be amazing? Yeah, I mean, Nintendo voice roles are very few and far between. They don't release a huge amount of new titles. But I did do some work with a great voice director and actor who worked on their Legend of Zelda series, and we work together now on a number of projects. So who knows if they ever end up doing something more in Legend of Zelda? I would love to be involved in a Zelda title. That'd be incredible. Yeah, some
That
of
would
the
be
best
fire.
produced. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Time will tell. Time will tell. Nintendo are pretty locked down, I say, on their projects. You don't really find out what they're doing until very last minute. However, they did have Hideo Kojima, and Hideo Kojima and I have just worked on a project that will be coming out at the end of this month, actually. So he has Death Stranding 2 coming out, the sort
Norman
of
Reedus.
yeah, the hotly awaited sequel to the first game that was so successful. And Norman Reedus is the protagonist of it again. He's back in the game. And I play a character called Pierre Southern in that, and gets to interact with Normus's character quite a bit in the game. So hopefully people enjoy that. And yeah, I mean, it's taken me one step closer, that sort of degree of separation to Nintendo HQ eventually. So I'll
I,
get
I,
there.
I want to see that happen. That would be
Thanks.
legendary.
Thank you, dude. Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
Of course. With the whole story, because I really was sort of stunned by the journey because you're such an iconic figure within the Call of Duty universe, and just to see how Activision treated you. Because do you feel as though that there was something else behind there that we may not know about, or was it just completely what you've said, that it was just that you were streaming and that you were too involved with the character? Because I feel as though you had great success with Ghost. So what was there something like behind the scenes that someone didn't you didn't get along with somebody, or someone just didn't want you a part of it anymore? It was because I just feel as though when you have so much success, like how can you get rid of someone and just want to move
Yeah,
on?
I mean, I don't really have anything else to say on it. I mean, like, I kind of dealt with that. It's very much in the past, my time with Activision. And, I'm glad to be just working on these new projects, really. And like the looking backwards is never been a part of what I do. Just think there's opportunities for growth and evolution. And some companies I will work with again and some I won't, and, like I say, I'm just really very much focused on these exciting new projects, of which there's so many coming out over the next 6 months to 12 months. Big ones that unfortunately I can't talk about just yet, otherwise I'll get fired because I've signed NDAs. But like I say, this month, the Hulu project, super excited about that feature film, and then Death Stranding 2 at the end of the month is going to be incredible.
It is, and I've heard about the Warner Bros. Incident with Harry Potter. I guess you let it loose in a Twitter thread, and people got a hold of that, and unfortunately, you were let go. That was unfortunate to hear about, especially too with voiceover work. Because in me learn about it, I didn't realize that you only made a little bit over 7 grand with the role of Ghost. So, how did
Yeah,
you
yeah. No,
approach
I
it to
mean,
turning
voiceover,
it?
you do voiceover as a passion project. You don't do voiceover because you're trying to make loads of money.
Mhm.
There is not a huge amount of money in the voiceover world, especially not with AAA video games or films or anything. It's paid at a lower rate than most SAG jobs. But I do it because I absolutely adore video games. I'm a massive gamer nerd. I've always wanted to play protagonists in games that I play. And now I can say, I've played some major protagonists in some major franchises, and characters in some of my favorite franchises like Harry Potter, like Star Wars, like Battlestar Galactica, Call of Duty, Total War, Warhammer, massive Warhammer nerd, so getting to play a lead character in a Warhammer game like Sergeant Carleon in Warhammer 40,000 Battle Sector. It's like those are little personal goals. So we do it. Voice actors do those jobs not for the accolades, not for the money, for sure. And in most cases, you're not really allowed to talk about any projects until the project is already released, which
Okay.
doesn't work like that when you're an actor in a TV show or a movie. Normally they announce the cast because they use that as an opportunity to build more hype about it, more excitement. And it just doesn't exist in the same way in the video game space.
Do you see there ever being a pay increase or even residuals? I know that we had the whole actor strike a couple of years ago, but do you ever see
Well,
a
we're
pay
still in a
increase for
strike.
voiceovers?
Voice actors are actually still in a strike at the moment.
Wow.
So the SAG voice actors have been for many, many, many months. Since last year, trying to get some more protections against AI. So to ensure that when we do a voice job, we're hired each time to come to the booth and to provide our voice, rather than our voices being taken or stolen or expanded beyond the performances we give in real time. And they've just offered a last deal, which my personal opinion is that it's not a very good deal. There's some language in there that basically doesn't protect us at all. It kind of undoes the protections that they've established earlier in the contract. So hopefully, SAG doesn't agree to that contract, but it's a difficult time, man. I mean, I'm just grateful that there's been enough projects for me that I've been booked on where the companies are great. They do love their actors. They do love the art that we provide, and they want to protect that. So they've signed the interim agreements. And I just hope the rest of the industry catches up, because AI is an interesting and fascinating and wonderful tool in so many ways for so many different aspects of our day-to-day living. However, it will never replace, when it comes to art, the human creation, that spark of human creation that goes into everything that a human makes creatively. It's just something more personal about it. And when it comes to voice acting, especially, I think the gamers can hear the difference. They know when someone's given a very passionate, real performance, or when something has been generated by AI and sounds just a little off, even on its inflections. There's no soul in it. So I hope the rest of the industry catches up. But in the meantime, I'm just grateful for the projects that I've been able to do have not been struck, because the companies have signed an interim agreement.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that it gets resolved and that you guys really get the contracts that you deserve because you guys work just as hard as the actors that you see on film and TV. It's just a different art form. It's all in the same space, but I want to see
Yeah,
that work
sometimes
out.
harder. Sometimes you've got to be in a voice booth filled with farts from the previous actor. What other actor has to go through that? So, if anything, we should be paid double what Tom Cruise gets paid for a movie. That's
Even with the stunts, even with the st
of course. I have to get out of bed in the morning, put on my tracksuit, get down to a voice booth. Come on, it's a lot of work.
Oh, it is. Yeah, you got to have a talent for sure, and you do. So, Blood Omen, why is that your favorite game of all time?
Oh my god, the franchise is just so incredible. The writer, oh goodness, I'm blanking on her name right now. Amy Hennig.
Mhm.
I didn't blank on her name. Amy Hennig, who is one of the best video game writers of all time, in my opinion. Oh, sorry, baby, my little doggo yawning again. So Amy Hennig is one of the best video game writers of all time, and she came up with this incredible story for Legacy of Kain, Blood Omen, and Soul Reaver. And it also was one of the first franchises that really built in a multitude of different abilities. It was like a sort of a reasonably linear story role playing game, but one that gave you technical advancements in the gaming space that hadn't happened in previous video games. So there were new things. It's been a while since we've seen a new thing. There's been a lot of copycat games over the last decades. Something blows up, it's successful, and then every studio makes their version of it. First person shooters are a perfect example of that. You got your Call of Duty, you got your Valorant, you got your multitude of different games available to you. Apex, what's it called, Apex, etc. So yeah, I feel like there's just reminiscent memories for me of playing a game that felt so different, that had such a depth of story. The characters were cool. The voice acting was unbelievable. And then they had reveals in game 3 that you saw things in game 1 that you never knew what was going on. And then by game 3, you found out it was you traveling back in time. And like, to invest that much belief in your video game franchise, you're like, we're going to put something in game 1 that won't be explained until game number 3. That was the golden era of video games for me. They really looked at games like, how do we make this an ongoing success and build our fans into the story? So if they ever make a remake ever of Blood Omen, Legacy of Kain, any of that, I think I might eat another human being, yeah, to get a role in it. I think I would eat someone, which would be method acting because they are obviously vampiric entities who do, drink the blood of humans. So I'd be willing to give it a go if I could get a role in that.
I think, hey, we got to get you signed up for that. Anyone
Yeah.
who's listening, make sure you get that. If they're planning on making some sequels here, let's get it going.
Yeah, right. Or a reboot. I think they'd probably do a reboot
By
of the entire
reboot.
franchise. Yeah, because I know they sold it recently. The story is back out now. Someone's bought it. So who knows? Who knows? Fingers crossed, man. We'll see.
Fingers crossed. I wanted to discuss this because I think it's really noble and brave of you to speak about the clinical depression that you've faced for the past like 30 years now. So, when did
Mm.
you find out that you were really dealing with depression? What was it that made you turn to therapy and just kind of having everything resolved to this point?
Yeah, so I've been very transparent about my ups and downs with mental health, addiction as well. Over the course of my life. So I'm 6 years. So yeah, so I've always been very transparent about my kind of battles with depression, and alcohol addiction. I'm 6 years sober now from booze, and sort of volunteer and speak at AA meetings around the city, certainly in Los Angeles, but when I'm in other states, do some service. It's always a big part of the sobriety journey for a lot of people. And talking about my depression on live streams was an important way for me to connect with my audience. It was amazing how many people suffered from similar issues. And a lot of these people were young as well. We're talking like teenagers. I had messages from everyone from the age of 11-year-old viewers of my live streams back when I used to play video games, and people in their 70s talking about finally giving the booze up, after watching me stream and talk about it and how much it's impacting my life for the better. I think a lot of performers keep the sheen of Hollywood about them. They don't like to show the realities of their personal lives. For me, that's never been a thing. I feel like I'd rather connect more directly with my audience, if they can empathize with me and understand that I am just like them, human, fallible, and have made mistakes over the course of my life and have navigated difficult things. Um, and yeah, depression kind of kicked in when I was about 8, 9 years of age. I remember feeling very low for long periods of time. I was never diagnosed with bipolar, but I probably would have been medically diagnosed as bipolar 1. Periods of quite manic activity and then long lows for weeks at a time, wanting to hide under covers or self-loathing, suicide ideation, etc. But as soon as I started opening up about those things and talking about them publicly and owning it, I was able to remove the identity of those things. Therapy for the last 6 years has helped me immensely. Sobriety has helped me immensely. And I did a psilocybin medical treatment a few years ago, which just reminded me that I'm nothing. We're just dust. We're just dust in an endless sea of dust. And when you lose that ego completely, then you go, well, then why would I hide these things? To what? To appeal more sexy to a Hollywood market that doesn't want the real me? I'd rather be moderately successful for the rest of my life, but always be true to who I am and have helped some people along the way navigate their own dark thoughts or feelings, than pretend like my life is peachy all the time, get that brand deal with the big business and the big studio, but ultimately know that I'm lying to people on a daily basis, which I think a lot of celebrities in the acting space, the video game space, the stand-up space, a lot of known figures or public figures do lie about their problems, and then we only learn about it when unfortunately it's too late. Either they've taken their own life or they're in rehab navigating an addiction of some sort. Whereas for me, I got rid of all my issues and dealt with them before I've had this kind of nice upward swing of success. So I feel like as time goes on, I'll be impervious to the pitfalls of that success, and also hopefully be able to impact and help heal vast amounts of people just by being honest about what I've navigated and sharing that information with them. In fact, I'm going to be doing an online series called An Evolution of Man, which kind of documents the journey of mind, body, and spirit, and trying to rectify the things that are broken with those three aspects of myself, including my therapist, my actual therapist, who I've seen for 5 years, almost 6 years, Professor Michael Feldler. We do a podcast, and we're going to be putting that out on a weekly basis. All of it will be free. It'll be resources available to people if they're struggling with depression, bipolar, alcohol, or drug addiction, or anything surrounding that, human issues like grief and loss. I lost my best friend 2 years ago.
My condolences there.
And then 3 weeks later, my dad died from his late-stage alcoholism, and this was a very successful man who wasn't a raging alcoholic for the majority of his life, but he was navigating depression. So after that experience, I was like, all right, well, how do I stop more people I know or care about, or people I don't even know but still care about, losing their lives? So it's in such a wasteful manner, when really they just needed someone to talk to or to feel less alone. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I try and do when I talk about mental health advocacy and am so public about my own, story of success, because it is a story of success. I'm no longer depressed. I don't suffer from depression anymore. And when that little voice starts creeping in, the self-loathing, I know there's reasons for it. I'm like, what am I not doing? Am I not sleeping? Am I not working out? Am I not being open and honest about what I'm navigating? Am I insecure about something? Am I struggling with something that I need to be more vocal about? And yeah, it's definitely had impact on people around me, not just my closest friends and family, but also viewers, fans, audience members. So I try and build it into everything I do, whether it's film, TV, online broadcasting, or even in my stand-up,
That's huge. I want to commend you for that. Just the work that you do just with people who suffer from addiction issues, mental health issues as well, that you mentioned before, speaking with people on your streams, and even the work that you do with the troops. And something that really stood out to me when doing my research was the George Floyd murder, that you were able to do the stream and donate the proceeds to that charity and everything that was going on.
Yeah, we raised something like, what was it? Like, God, it was a lot. It was like was it 60,000? It was a lot of money. It was somewhere like $30,000 to $60,000 for the Equal Justice Initiative,
Mm-hmm.
Which at that time was very, very important to me. I want to see equality for all people in this country. I want to make sure people are treated fairly. And my support of the troops and the what you're referring to is I'm partnered with the US vets, both
Hmm.
here in Vegas and now in California as well. I'm just started to do some stuff with them there. I'm partnered with a bunch of different veterans charities, like Veterans Social Club, Gold Star Gamers, which I'm an ambassador for, and it means a lot to me because this veteran and military audience came to me when I was Ghost on Call of Duty. And by connecting with so many of those people, they became my viewers. Some of them became my closest friends. A lot of them were my moderators and my chat when I was doing live streams. So I learned a lot about these people and what they go through, and also what they have to navigate when they come out of their time in service, which for a lot of people is not the greatest picture. However, I'm also working on developing a documentary series at the moment I'm trying to find funding for, which is all about veterans and about post-traumatic success stories. Because I think there is just such a small-minded and very singular narrative around veterans in this country, especially. They're all broken, PTSD-ridden, and all need help rather than an opportunity. Which I know there's reason for that understanding. There are a lot of people who are struggling, who've been in service. However, there's also a lot of people who are taking their skills that they learned when they were in the military and taking that on into their new lives, their civilian lives, and flourishing and succeeding in immense ways. So I want to do a series that highlights what is possible for veterans whilst also tapping into the mental health aspect, and of course, how one navigates PTSD, trauma, traumatic brain injuries, etc., after their time in service. But I do think there needs to be a wider narrative around the veteran community, and I love vets, man. I mean, I like that some of them have taught me. Hey, listen, it's fun going out with a group of guys to the desert and blowing some shit up, and then also talking openly and honestly about your feelings afterwards. I love that. That speaks to me very directly, and I've learned a lot. Every time I do a role, I want to immerse myself in it full heartedly, which with Call of Duty meant how do I become Ghost without actually going and serving in the military, which I have no interest in doing. So I learned CQB courses. I was doing advanced CQB courses, firearms courses. I'm now proficient with handguns and rifles. I have done a bunch of physical activities. I'm learning how to skydive. Like I really wanted to become that guy, but then also speaking to the best learning I had for that character was speaking directly to military personnel. Because how are you going to know how someone's going to act or how to behave in a certain situation unless you've talked to people who've actually done it? So one of the best people I spoke to was Christian Craighead, who was a very famous SAS serviceman in the UK, from the UK, who very famously went into it was a terrorist situation in, I believe, in Nairobi, and he was stationed out there. He saw it on the local news, went down there with his kit, didn't even grab his helmet. He literally just took his vest, his plate carrier, and his his rig, and went down there and talked to the local police force. And they were like, "Yeah, people are being thrown out, dead. They're killing hostages inside this hotel." And he went in single-handedly and took out the entire terrorist cell and saved something like 46 people's lives that day. So I talked to him, I managed to connect with him and have a good conversation, before he'd even revealed his face. So I was like Ghost talking to the real Ghost. It was pretty exciting stuff. But that connected me very directly with this amazing community. And I got a lot of love for the veteran community. I'll actually be hosting the military, first responders and Veterans Appreciation Day out here in Vegas in October. Just taking part in the 5K Steps for Vets a few weeks ago here in Vegas. And every year I take part in the stand down event where we help hundreds. This summer, we just did, earlier this year, we did 634 veterans, finding them housing, mental health support, courts and legal support, clothing, haircuts, everything you can think of that someone might need if they're a homeless vet trying to get back on their feet. So I hope I get to do that for many more years to come.
I know you will, and it's such a huge impact out here. Much respect and love to the troops and what they do for the United States and for all of us here for our freedoms. And just when we look at it, because when you speaking about it before about being at the age of 9 dealing with depression, it's so scary to think that there's so many people that aren't even aware of it at that age. And
I wasn't. I can only do that in hindsight, man. I mean, when I was 9 through whatever 24, I just thought I was emo, bro. I was just like, I must just be dramatic. I must just be very emotional. I must be. But the reality is like my therapist likes to say, all of these diagnoses, they come from traumas, they're learned behaviors, they're patterns of behavior that are either hereditary in some small cases, or mostly learned behaviors to react to some kind of trauma. So, emotional dysregulation that I had came from two emotionally dysregulated parents for completely different reasons. My dad navigated some awful stuff as a kid and never really put that to rest, and that impacted him. And my mum grew up in communist Romania under Ceausescu's reign, so she had a pretty hard childhood as well. So these were two very hard people who tried to do the best for me and my sister. But of course, look, I don't know if you've got any parents listening, but I'm sure they know, as much as you try not to screw your kids up, you will invariably give them some kind of issues. You just hope you do enough work on yourself to not pass on the worst of it. And I've broken that cycle. So hopefully one day I'll get to have some beautiful kids. And when I do, they won't be screwed up like dad was.
You broke the barrier, broke that mold right there.
Yeah, man. Otherwise, what's the point, dude? What's the point? If you're learning to evolve and elevate yourself, if you're trying to become a better version of yourself every year, you will make mistakes. You will say things you shouldn't. You will do things you shouldn't. You will, upset people. You will make egregious misjudgments. And if you continue to do those things and just carry on down the same path, well, then you're a lost cause. But if you really want to change that, and you take control of your own life and start making some choices for yourself, it's possible to free yourself of every negative aspect of your personality. I truly believe that. And that includes eradicating my depression, eradicating, my addictions, and being now able to live as the best version of myself for myself and for other people.
That's big. And congratulations on that. And
thanks, man. Not very funny. I'm sorry. I'm trying to be a stand-up comedian as well. I realize it's a bit all very serious but hey, man, if one person listening listens to that and goes, you know what, fair play, yeah, all right, cool. That's what happened to me while I was streaming. I'm the voice of this character that these people absolutely adore, like 150 million players worldwide. There were points where I'd have like tens of thousands of people watching me live, and I know that some of them are kids, and some of those kids are struggling. Some of them are adults, and some of those adults are trying to navigate addiction. And some of them are adults or kids who are navigating some of the worst things in life, like suicide ideation. And I already know, because I've got the messages, people would reach out on almost 3 or 4 times a week. I get a message from someone very personal saying, hey, man, you talked about this on your stream the other day. If Ghost can get through that, if my favorite Ghost character actor can get through it, God, and you've done these things, you've achieved these things, which in my mind are not that big, but to them, they're at home playing the video game that you're the character of. They hear you all day long. So it is a big deal to them. And it makes them feel less alone. I'm grateful that there's already been a number of people who've turned their life around because of that. Mm-hmm. So I wish more public figures were transparent, but that's never going to happen because people like their bank accounts being filled more than they like helping people.
Oh,
so
it's true. Yeah. People do anything for a buck. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, of course, man. Yeah, we live in the age of prolific grifters, man. So,
it's true. I mean, it's insane. And we need more people like you to speak out, because now I think it's even worse with social media now, because you see you see the algorithms, they're designed to tear people down. It really,
and also it doesn't even favor people who are speaking honestly.
It's true. It doesn't.
Now, if you talk about mental health I know when I talk about mental health in the stream, my reach gets immediately cauterized. I know a lot of my content doesn't go out to even my viewers, even my followers. I've got like 250,000 on TikTok, and I know that even when I put something remotely heartfelt or real, it just doesn't get the reach. Whereas if I do a silly trending topic, millions of views. So I get it. It's look, I can't change the system. I can just try and be a little piece of the puzzle that offers a different route to people. Hey, you're struggling, and maybe you don't have to doom scroll for the next 4 hours and hate yourself and self-loathe for the rest of your life until it gets you down enough that you consider taking your own life. Maybe, try some of the things I've done. Go and talk to someone, get some therapy, hop on BetterHelp, get a dog who's constantly growling at you to be a happier person. So yeah, so that's been the process so far.
Yeah, a busy year. What is this role? Because I feel as though that acting still the passion for you. You're doing a lot of voiceover work. You're doing stand up. So what's this role that you're working towards that you want that you see yourself portraying? Is there a certain role that you have in mind that you want to audition for Hollywood? I know you really don't care about the mainstream. I know that's something that you got that clear is
I can't.
really
I mean, listen. I don't mind mainstream projects. I just care about working with real people who want to
real.
make art.
Okay,
Yeah, and they exist.
they do.
Don't mistake my sort of my comments about the false people and the false pretenses and the air kissing and the BS, that goes
Oh,
on.
there's a lot of it, but there's good people.
There is, but alongside that, there's also a bunch of really great people
Mhm.
creating amazing work. So I just want to keep trying to work towards, doing more and more of those projects with those kinds of people. And these projects this year are proving that I can do that, and as time goes on. And actually, ironically, the more vulnerable and the more real I've been, the more those kinds of people who've come out the woodwork and gone, "Hey, I want to work with you. I like what you're doing." But I also, to anyone who's listening, who is listen, you're a music station. I know that this is like hip hop focused, and we can apply it to who a lot of your listeners might be, budding musicians, MCs trying to make their name, writers, beat producers. If you're doing something and you're truly passionate about the art, if you can find a way to find the most joy in the creation of the thing rather than worrying about what the reception of it is, how many fans you get, how many views you get, how many listens you get, how many millions of people start following you, whether you blow up on this chart or that chart. If you can just enjoy making your art, really truly enjoy it, one, the art's going to be 1,000 times better. And two, I think that success eventually comes from that anyway, because you are making something with such purity of passion that it speaks to an audience anyway, and you will find your audience. And also, we're here for a while. You might get 100 years, so remember that. Don't rush it. Enjoy the process. That's my advice, and have as much fun on the process as you can.
You need to, and that's real because a lot of people aren't following the art. There's people that are, but I know with social media, with TikTok, and a lot of these platforms, a lot of it's for clout. It's basically a clout chasing game now, and
Sure,
you're
sure.
right. You got to do what you love, and if you're in it for the following and the likes, you're in it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, yeah, and like I say, I mean, like good art leads to good opportunities. So focus on that. Focus on having a very personal message within anything you create, and it should speak to people. You'll find your audience.
You will.
Or maybe you just can't sing, in which case, give up. No, I'm joking. Keep singing. Go down to a karaoke bar on a Tuesday night and put other people through that torment. Keep doing your passion, whatever it is, even if you suck at it.
So what's next on the agenda for the Show Me Your Feed podcast?
Well, actually, we're just talking to a major network at the moment, so I can't 100% reveal, but we will see it coming back in a big way in the not so distant future, in the next couple of months. So we're just finalizing a deal right now for it. We did like I don't know, maybe about 3 months worth of episodes went out. We took a little sabbatical because my co-host Jenny Zagrino, she's been traveling. The two of us have a couple of scripts with some major studios in development right now that we're working on, and also she has some acting projects as well, and that she's currently filming alongside mine. So we were like, let's have a little pause for a couple of months. And during that time, we've been approached by, like I say, a big platform that wants to showcase the show and make it bigger studio, bigger guests. So yeah, it should be coming back in a big way in the next couple of months.
Mm. I did want to touch on this as well because you're out in the LA area and it seems as though that no one's talking about it as much anymore, especially when you turn on the news, is that the wildfires that happened out in the Palisades. I mean, it
Mhm.
completely leveled a big part of California and it's affected the film industry. A couple actors have brought it up on my show, but how are things from your perspective and just how things are progressing now since those fires have ended?
Yeah, I mean, like a lot of the fires in California, they're very intense and very upsetting when they're going on. And then unless you were directly caught up in them, which I was fortunate enough not to be, I wasn't,
Thank
my home
God.
was burned. Yeah, but I mean, I've got friends who did lose their homes, so
Oh.
it was a bit of an empty victory, in
Mhm.
that I'm glad I'm safe, but I wish they were safe. I wish their families were safe. I wish their homes were safe. So yeah, but once it's over really, unless you're caught up in that mess. So for myself personally, it hasn't impacted me as much. But I know like a lot of Californians are really struggling at the moment with, with the aftermath of that and losing everything they had. I wish there was a bit more support, but again, I wouldn't profess to be very learned in the realm of politics or what could be done for those people. I just think, grassroots movements is really what I'm focused on. How can I help out my local community? I did try and join the fire department. That was my first thought, is that I'll go and become a reserve firefighter. So when they have wildfires, in some places, um, they will bring reserves up, and you'll literally like dig trenches to stop fires passing beyond a certain point, or you'll spray at the outer edges. They won't send you into the middle of the fire because they don't want to like build up a body count, you know what I mean, with people who are not perfectly trained. But I went to a local station. And they said that they don't have a temporary or reserve firefighting force in California. Only at one place, one area does like a part-time thing. So I wish there was more opportunity for that. But I did go and get my CERT accreditation, which is effectively, civilians who are trained to help in incidents like that, or earthquakes, or if there's a giant flood or something. Basically trains you to go and assist first responders in the work that they're doing. So I would encourage anyone to go and do that. And also, I always do my first aid course, my CPR AD for adults, kids, and pediatric. Every 2 years, you have to renew it. So I think everyone should do this. It should be part of our school education. Learn how to help people, learn how to save someone's life if they're choking or they're having a heart attack. Why don't we learn that at school? Why is that not part of the curriculum?
It's true. Yeah, that's a necessary practice that we should learn, especially with physical education and gym and all that. Yeah, that should
Dude,
be
and if you've got a kid,
incorporated.
you should be doing it anyway. If you've got a kid, everyone should know how to stop a baby choking if you're going to have a baby. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So, yeah, it's weird. We'll go and get our dogs training, but then we won't learn how to stop our baby choking on a grape. Wild.
It is
So,
wild.
anyway, I say all that to say, whilst I haven't been directly affected by the fires, and whilst it doesn't sort of continue to impact me, there are still things that I've done and that other people can do if they're interested to help people who are struggling.
Absolutely. Yeah. Get involved. The people who are out there, please just get involved. And, it's something that's been going on for months now. I mean, it's always been happening, but it really was devastating earlier this year. It really was, even for someone
Yeah,
that's on the East Coast, because I have so much love for everyone out in LA.
absolutely, absolutely, man. But
So
how many rappers in the West Coast area claims that fire was direct result of their epic new lit mixtape? I feel like that was a lot of people. No,
oh yeah.
every rap act I've ever seen in my life, every single one, I was like, hey, I don't know if you know, I just dropped a mixtape. That's what the fires were about. It's like, Jesus Christ. People try and monetize anything, even human suffering.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And two, when we look at Hollywood, I was actually watching this documentary. Are you kind of a believer in the whole paranormal? Because I was interested to see about the people they paint Hollywood to be this dark place when we look at, because someone, I think it was Pagan Whistle, that committed suicide off of the Hollywood sign. Have you kind of,
Really?
yeah, are you kind of aware of just all the dark things and how cursed
Nah, I mean,
Hollywood is?
maybe I'm not invited to the parties, man. I mean, like I never went to a Diddy White party. I've never been invited to a party at Bohemian Grove. So, wearing a sort of a robe and chanting in a dark forest over the blood of innocents is not really my thing. Does that go on? Maybe. I don't know. I certainly haven't seen it. But all I've seen is a lot of insecure people desperate to succeed and unfortunately getting manipulated by, entities who don't have their best interests at heart. There's a lot of that in Hollywood. But like I say, there's also a lot of beautiful people doing beautiful things and looking after one another. So I tend to stick to that crowd.
Oh yeah, there you go. You're at the hotel. You're not at the Cecil Hotel.
No, no, no. I haven't walked into people think that Hollywood parties are like that sort of opening scene from Blade One. Do you know what I mean? They're all just down in a club dancing under the blood of innocence, having mad orgies in leather. But the orgies happen for sure. There's a little bit of leather, but I haven't seen any of the sacrificial parties. So, but like I say, maybe I'm not on the guest list. I'm probably not, man. I talk about mental health advocacy. I don't think they're looking for me as part of the inner sanctum of the order or whatever it's called.
Probably not. So when we look at your journey, because you got some Netflix specials as well that you're involved with. You got some shows on Netflix. So are you looking to do your own special on Netflix for stand up?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I self-released my special a couple of years ago. You know, my first special, Comedy Spectacular. I put it out on YouTube because we were on strikes at the time, the actors'
Mhm.
strike, and I didn't think it would be in keeping with the things that I say if I went and sold my special to a network when we were in a strike. You know what I mean? Like that would have been against. I'm a union man, dude. You know, and I'll always stick by the union. So but I would love to do now that that has been an interim agreement. Sorry, a proper agreement has been signed for those networks. I would love to do a special with a major platform. I've been working on a bunch of new material, which I'm touring around at the moment, and yeah, by the end of this year, I'll be ready to put another round down. So I would absolutely love to do that. Yeah, yeah. But my show's on Netflix right now. I'm in Record of Ragnarok, which has just been announced. They're going to do season 3 of that now, which is one of their
Congrats.
top trending, worldwide top trending anime series. And I play an amazing character called Jack the Ripper,
That's
based
right.
on the old serial killer from British law. Although he's not, if you read the original manga in Japan of the Record of Ragnarok series, because it's a huge series in Japan already, you find out he's not actually even the real Jack the Ripper. He just took on that mantle to kill bad people. So he's kind of a hero, an anti-hero character. Anyway, very much fun to portray. And then on Hulu, I do Yelki the Swifting in Ishura as well. So I've had this kind of success lately on these platforms with major anime shows. But I would love to do something, on screen as with my real face. That'd be nice.
It would be. And we saw the talent that you have already, just hosting all the programs on BBC and the comedy special that you put on in New York. And I'm sure that you're going to have some footage from this Vegas one. You're going to have some
Oh yeah,
footage here.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I have clips going out almost on a daily basis across, the YouTube and the TikTok and the Instagram. So there's always stuff going out there for people if they want to see, if they want to try before they buy. If they're interested in coming to see me live, maybe at the Laugh Factory in California and Covina later this month, or if they want to come to Vegas in July or August or October, I'll be going back and forth. I'll be out in New York again at the end of the year. So for those shows, if they want to try a little bit, I'd recommend they just go and check out the TikTok, find me over there and watch some of the clips. That'd be good.
Go
Or watch
go.
the full special on YouTube. They might enjoy it.
Yeah, they might. Here's an interesting question because everything going on just in society with cancel culture. Do you feel like cancel culture is over or that's still going on?
Um, I mean, what? Yeah, what's cancel culture? I feel like the more notorious people who are being um exposed are being exposed for pretty horrendous crimes, like
Hmm.
the list of crimes that are being laid out for Diddy at the moment. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Or the list of crimes Bill Cosby or uh, any of these sort of like
Oh,
prolific
Weinstein.
users. Oh my God, Weinstein. Yeah, exactly. He was like one of the first, right?
He
So he was one of
was.
the big first ones. So I mean, good for the world. I mean, like I feel like people like that who utilize their power to routinely abuse and assault people should be put behind bars. So I'm glad to see that happening. There was a period where a lot of comedians who might have been a little bit more conservative or right wing leaning were frustrated. Oh, we can't say anything these days. We're being cancelled for everything. Well, that seems to have 180 now. Given the current political spectrum and the current
Oh,
administration.
yeah, and the criminal
Content is
that's in the
free
White
to.
House now.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, like, look, I'm here on a green card, bro. So I'm looking after my space in this country. So
Yeah.
I'm probably going to avoid talking too much about the current administration and what my thoughts.
Yeah. Leave that to me. I'll do it.
Yeah, you do that, bro. You can get kicked out or sent to an
Yeah.
else jail, not me. But yes, I think it's an incredibly divided country.
Hmm. Time.
I think that it would be a wonderful world if everyone considered each other a little bit more directly, and that means being able to make jokes about things and all things, and enjoying making jokes about them, but also not making jokes purely for the purpose of hurting or harming a particular group. There is a difference. I think there's comics who got upset because they felt they were censored, but their jokes were trash. You know what I mean? They weren't good jokes. They were designed to pull people down or punch down at people. You can make great jokes that are not that are taboo, but also they're great jokes that make an audience think about what you're saying afterwards. You know what I mean? Or have some point to them, other than just demonizing or making a particular group feel awful for their existence. So I'm more of a guy who likes to make people think. I talk about my own life. I make fun of myself in my set, very much make jokes about my personal existence, my various ridiculous stories like kink parties and orgies, drug addictions, rehab and sobriety, arrests, travel, near-death experiences, and heartbreak, and I try and tie those subject matters to my audience in as wide a possible manner so that they can all empathize with me and they can go, great, I can laugh at this guy's life, but also I'm taking a little something away from what he's saying that I'm going to apply to my own life or that I might consider my own situation slightly differently. And everyone's laughing. Everyone seems to be laughing and leaving happy. So as long as that happens, I'm doing my job. But it's never been part of my comedy to try and upset people or demonize a particular
No,
group. So, that's not for me.
no. And I could tell that just by watching your stand-up special on YouTube. You have your own style and it works. It's different from everyone else. If you were to host your own special with somebody, who would it be as far as a comedy legend? Who would you like to collab with?
Oh, that's a great question. Damn, man. I mean, most of my favorites are dead, unfortunately.
Oh,
That I really love. A lot of them are dead, but there are some incredible talents that I'm, deeply enamored by. Um, Damn, that's a good question, man. Because normally people just straight up ask me, "Well, who are your favorite comics?" And it's like
oh,
George Carlin, it's like Richard Pryor, it's Greg Giraldo, but unfortunately, none of them are with me anymore. Um, I would love to do something. I mean, I'm already doing stuff with my friend Jenny Zagrino, who's an incredibly talented actress and comedian. So writing with her has been a blessing. Bigger name stars that you will know. God, that's a good question,
oh,
man.
thank you.
I've never been asked it. I've never been asked that particular thing. Like, which living comic would I want to work with? That's so weird. So strange. Um, God, dude, I don't even want to work with the normal people that you would think. Here's the reality. Like when I think of people I want to work with, I don't think of the biggest stars on the planet. I don't think of the biggest comedians on the planet. I think of people who I find really interesting. Danny Brown. I find Danny Brown really interesting as both a rapper, as an artist, but also as a comedy figure. He's like that's those sessions he did with Woe Kenny. Have you seen the Danny Brown appearances
Uh,
on Woe Kenny?
I've seen clips online.
No, I love that. I'd like to go. I'd like to go. I'd like to appear on Woe Kenny's series and go in and freestyle. I'd like to do that. And he's not a comedian. He's a producer. You know what I mean? But I know he
Exactly.
likes comedy. I know he likes. Oh, excuse my language. I know he messes with comedy. I know he likes comedians. I'd love to go in and do freestyling with Woe Kenny. I'd love to appear on Danny Brown's podcast. You know what I mean? Because I think he's amazing. He's so out there. He's so fun. He mixes with so many different genres, even though he is rap forwards. You know what I mean? Those are the people that I think of that I want to work with. I want to work with Tobe Nwigwe. I want to do something with him. I'd love him to make a TV series, and I'd love to be involved in it. Do you know what I mean? And like write a show with him. Yeah, yeah. I'm drawn to like artists who span different genres because, like myself, I'm not just a stand-up. I'm not just an actor. I'm not just a voice actor. I'm not just a producer or a script writer. I'm all those things, and I love doing all these different things. So I'm drawn to people who are like that. And yeah, maybe me and Ice-T. I mean, I got his number in my phone. Maybe me and Ice-T one day we'll do a little drama together, a little buddy drama, cop buddy drama. That'd be cool, wouldn't it? Yeah, it'd be like maybe me and Ice-T could be the brand new Lethal Weapon duo.
Mm,
Yo, I could see it happening. I'm
that'd
gonna
be
make that.
fire.
We're gonna manifest that.
Gotta make it happen.
I'm gonna message him right after this. Yo, T, what's up? I've got an idea. He's gonna go, new number, who's this? I thought I blocked you.
uh, how do you reflect on the smoke in London Town? Because those were two important projects for you as well.
Yeah, I mean the great films. I enjoy doing feature films. I'm producing my own film that's coming out at the end of this year. Actually, very secret project. I hope is going to do big things. But performing in with other great directors is always something that I enjoy. The Smoke was my first ever film. Great fun. Got to perform with some EastEnders legends on that. A couple of soap opera actors from EastEnders and Hollyoaks, which in the UK are big shows. So that was a lot of fun. It was interesting. My character ended up having a vibrator inserted inside of him that got stuck. So, it wasn't my most defining dramatic role, but it was a pretty fun comedy role for me. Um, but yeah, no, I'm definitely looking to the future. You said earlier on which projects would I want to be in. Well, of course, I want to portray an anti-hero or a villain, a super villain in a Marvel or DC movie. I mean, they're the most fun characters to portray. Do you know what I mean? So I'd love to do something like that. And I believe that those movies that have come before are the building blocks and the stepping stones to me getting to that kind of a project. You know.
Oh, they definitely will be. I'll tell you that. And do you look, because that was going to be a question I asked you tonight, some advice that you would give to voiceover actors that are just starting out in order to turn that low salary that they make off of voiceover projects into what you've done? Is it getting into other avenues? You got to have more than one niche. Is that what you would recommend to them? Have other interests as well, if this is what you want to do?
I mean, if you have the interest, I think you should explore it. I don't think, all these different creative realms are for every person. I consider myself a polymath. Like I like excelling in a multitude of different areas outside of my creative stuff, you know. But that comes from, I guess, a mixture of ADHD and very pushy parents, and being fortunate enough to get a scholarship to my schooling, so I could get educated at a school that we couldn't afford. You know what I mean? So it's given me that kind of drive and that ambition. I think if people are passionate about one project or one facet of entertainment, they should focus on it. But if, like me, you consider yourself a Renaissance performer or entertainer, yeah, explore all the things, do all the things, because you never know what's going to lead to another thing. Like one job in TV hosting led to me having an opportunity to do some stand up on a show. A stand up opportunity led to me getting a job hosting an awards ceremony. Hosting that awards ceremony led to me being seen at the Comedy Cellar, which led to me working there, which led to me getting some TV work, which led to me, all of these things can be intermingled. And if you keep an open mind when you're approaching your creative process, yeah, I feel like, you never know where an opportunity is going to present itself. So don't say yes to just anything for the sake of it, but do say yes to things that interest or excite you, even if you're not good at it yet, because you never know. It might end up being a major string to your bow.
It's true. You've been around some of the biggest people in the industry. Who's that one that had the most lasting impact on you as far as advice or even just something that they told you that's really had a lasting impact on you?
Mm. Lawrence Fishburne and I, we used to ride motorcycles together, and he imparted a lot of very useful knowledge about identity and a concept of the self, and basically moving beyond your own ego. But actually, the biggest impact that's ever come to me hasn't come from huge stars. It's come from an 84-year-old producer, Hollywood producer. She just had a great movie come out called The Comeback Trail, with Robert De Niro and Morgan Freeman. Incredible, like star-studded cast. And came out a few months ago. Joy Hurwitz is her name, 84 years of age. We go for breakfast every couple of weekends together. And I sit down, I talk to this lady, and she is the single person in my life who in the last few years took me out of that cynicism I described. A few years ago, I was still caught up in my low feelings, the depression. I was just newly sober and was struggling. And all of that cynicism she took and bunched it out and threw it out and went, look, you are going to meet lots of awful people in this industry. Ignore them, move beyond them, learn to rise above, learn to be impervious to their behaviors, and keep seeking the good people, because there's so many good people out there. And if you focus more on that, you will inevitably move away from the drama and the terrible people and move back towards this beautiful place of just constantly creating and enjoying successes off the back of that. So shout out to my 84 years young friend, Joy Hurwitz. She's given me the best advice that I've had, which was stop being cynical and focus on finding the good people doing the good things, And that's a lesson that we can apply to any aspect of our life. A lot of people get caught up doom scrolling and hating each other online. Don't do that. Go hang out with your friends you love. Go be around your family. Go and hang out with the friends that make you laugh. Go do something. Put feet to the ground. Create something. Learn a new skill. If we focus on these more positive and healthy aspects of existence, who knows what's possible for you? You might be jumping out of a plane, flying it around the world, or making enough money to afford one, rather than sitting at home stressing about what someone else is doing or what they've been saying about you.
Exactly. It's too energy consuming. Put that energy into yourself.
For sure, man, and into other people.
Yeah, absolutely. Jeff, is there anything else you'll love to let your fans know? Anything else that we didn't talk about here today?
Just, if they want to support me, if they want to come and see all these different projects that I'm doing, the best way to do that is at Jeff Leach on all social media. I would love them to go and watch the special. Jeff Leach presents a comedy spectacular on YouTube. If they enjoy that, they might enjoy some of the stand up. Again, there's loads of short form stuff on TikTok for them. And like I say, please watch Predator, Killer of Killers, coming out June 6th on Hulu.
Ooh.
And please also make sure to keep your eyes peeled for Death Stranding 2 by Hideo Kojima coming out June 26th.
You got to stay tuned to that. And you're also at Brad Garrett's Comedy Club in Vegas. So make sure you're out there this week. Get those tickets to come out and support. Watch him perform.
Yeah, I'll come and say hello to you afterwards. We'll have a little hug, maybe a kiss, maybe a foot rub. Who knows? What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. And I'll be back here again in July, August, and October for another week at the Comedy Cellar and then Brad Garrett's Comedy Club again. So plenty of chances to see me coming up.
Absolutely. And I'm sure the fans will be looking forward to it. I want to thank you for coming on the show, man. Had a great time speaking with you.
I appreciate you, man. You got wonderful energy, dudes, and I really, really appreciate you taking time to learn about my silly little life, so you can ask me all these questions, man. It shows time and energy, and I'm very grateful for it.
Oh, I appreciate that. It means a lot. And thank you to Monique for getting us connected and set up. You're always welcome anytime you want to come on the show.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you, man.
You already know, man. Jeff, take care. Enjoy the rest of your night. I'm looking forward to the upcoming Predator.
All right, dude. Take care.
All
Thanks
right,
again.
man. Peace out.